Hashtag Love Write Create. We are starting now. Woo-hoo! Okay, so I'm Callie Ross. Again, we are talking about writing and everything that has to do with writing as authors. And I am with Morgan Wiley. Woo! And I am with Gabby Robbins.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
And we are actually going to be discussing a whole lot of stuff actually tonight that has to do with book conventions because it is like the book convention season right now. I'm headed to BEA tomorrow. I might be bragging, or y'all aren't gonna get mad or anything. That's good. Okay, so enough about that. I am also going to Utopia.
Yoo-hoo!
Woo, me too. And I have some friends that are going to that. Those two right down there. And I wanted to start this off with just a generic, what is your favorite book convention question? Do you have a favorite book convention? Or, like, maybe it's not the convention because it's had a bad year or a good year, or maybe a couple of bad years and a really good year. But as far as all the conventions you've gone to, which one and maybe why was it the best convention ever, like that year?
You know, I'm a little bit of a convention virgin. Other than Utopia, I have not been to any other book conventions.
You're lying.
Wait, you did the Southern Book Festival.
That wasn't a convention, though, was it?
I guess not. I guess, yeah.
Well, I guess they had panels and stuff.
Yeah, it is a book convention. They had the word festival in their title because they wanted to sound more fun than a convention.
Okay, so I went to that. Okay, so I've been to that, and then this is my third year going back to Utopia. So those are my experiences. I've not been to any of the really larger ones, you know, like some people who've gone to BEA multiple times.
And again, without us.
So what was the question?
Sorry. Is there a convention that's been your favorite, and why was it your favorite? So let's say Utopia is your favorite.
Okay, so we'll go with Utopia.
I know why.
Why?
Because we met each other in Utopia.
You and you, both of you. No, it is though. That's really probably my favorite thing about Utopia is it started small and has grown since, but I think there's a real sense of community in different, you know, variations and aspects. But my favorite thing the first year was that I had been friends with quite a few of the authors online for several years and finally got to meet them in person and develop, you know, greater relationships and meeting you both. And so I mean, relationships, that's my favorite, and just creating a writer community that has since grown. It was a foundation for that.
Okay, now, Gabby, you have to answer.
Obviously, I'm the same. I've only been to Utopia and to the Southern Book Festival. Obviously, Utopia, the first year was pretty monumental in me, like, just being able to think that I could write a book, because I was just reviewing books at that time, and I just wanted to go and be around authors and see how that world worked and all of that. And obviously, I met Morgan by sitting next to her. It was a divine appointment, and then I kind of followed her around the rest of the day. And then I had a really great conversation with an author who we're all friends with, Teal, who kind of called me out and asked me, you know, what I wanted to write about. And it was the first time I'd ever spoken about my work in progress story idea. Out and like I told Morgan about it, but I hadn't really told anybody else. And so it's just what I learned, and just seeing authors and seeing how things worked. It was pretty monumental for me in opening this door to just even the possibility of writing. I will say, though, that the Southern Book Festival is a totally different monster, and I've gotten to see hear the author of Gone Girl, which I don't know her name, and that's awful, speak, and that was amazing. I think it's just so interesting to hear authors talk about their process and what's influenced them. I think it's really, really cool. And then I got to hear Rick Riordan speak, which totally floated my boat. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, yeah, I like that. They're different, completely different, really, but both of them have been really, I've enjoyed them both a lot. So.
Well, as far as conventions go, I've been to a few. I've been to Book Expo America, which is BEA, a couple of years in a row, and that's in New York. And then Utopia, obviously, Utopia is such a different type of convention. I think it's changing, though, and we're going to talk about that later. But I think when it first started out, in the first few years that I've been involved, it's been for the writer. And it not just for the writer, it did, I think, help me as a blogger, because I was like you, Gabby, I was blogging at first. It had just started writing when I went to Utopia the first year, but I thought it was more for the actual writer than it was for the blogger. Now, with that being said, every other convention I've been to has been all about swag, and you listen to panels where authors talk, and sometimes it's about their process, but a lot of times it's just about the specific book that they've written or the genre they write in. Sometimes it's something that's even silly, that's more cultural as far as the topic is concerned. So, what's funny is like even a convention like Comic-Con, there are book panels. Like I remember sitting and watching a panel of writers. They were all writing about werewolves, and it was comics, YA, adult, like this whole span of authors writing werewolf books, and it was a panel at Comic-Con. So, I think that as far as conventions go, BEA is my favorite for the actual books because you walk away with books. I mean, it's just a part of the ticket pricing, and the publishers there, they want you to have the books. The authors are there to sign the books, and you donate money if you want to, which, it's one of those things. I'm sure there are people that get away with not donating anything, but you also buy a ticket, so that's a little different. But then as far as being a writer, I feel like Utopia, my first year at Utopia was probably the most priceless year, just because I felt like that I went to moderate panels and I learned more about the process of writing. And so that I thought that was good. But, like meeting famous people, Comic-Con's the way to go. So it just depends on the route that you're taking and what your purpose is for going to the convention. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you guys, as far as conventions are concerned, depending on what type of convention we're talking about, what is the most important lesson that you've learned at a convention?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I never judge an author by either like the genre that they write or what they look like, because sometimes, authors just have such interesting brains, I think. I got so much about writing process and just inspiration from the author of Gone Girl. I will never read Gone Girl. I'm a wimp. Total wimp. I've heard it's fabulous. If you can do a thriller, read it. I've heard it's amazing. I would be scared and wouldn't sleep for days, so I can't. But to hear just some of the really interesting things that she talked about and what kind of shaped how she came up with the story idea was so cool. And I just happened, because I didn't have anybody to see at that panel time, and I was by myself. I just was at that point where I was like, I need to get out and learn about books and learn about authors. And so she was speaking, and I thought, I'll just go and sit in on that. And it was awesome. Don't judge people by what you see or their genre. They can give you nuggets of information that you just are going to be treasures to remind you when you're writing. And I feel like go and just listen and learn and keep your mind open to, anything that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Morgan went missing.
Oh, no.
She left while you were talking. I would take it personally if I were you.
I know.
I sent her another invitation, so hopefully she will jump back on. But okay, so along the same lines, while she's probably working her way back online, because supposedly her internet sucks. I will say that one of the most important lessons I've ever learned, and I can't even remember who it was. I want to say it was someone like Cassandra Clare, or I don't know. I don't even know. It probably was someone like Cassandra Clare. I was sitting and listening, and the person said, "Just finish a book. Just finish writing a book. Just whatever you do, no matter what your intentions are, if you're writing, don't stop and move to something else. Like really get serious and finish the book." And that's probably the best piece of advice that I've gotten. And it really kicked my rear end into gear so that I would actually finish a book.
I started my shredder. Sorry.
Oh! Exciting times over there at Gabby's house. Okay, Morgan, now you have to jump in and tell us what is the most important, or I guess crucial, lesson that you've learned at a book convention.
Okay, sorry about that. My internet is flaking out on me here. Crucial. Let's see. I mean, I learned a lot of good technical things as far as even the process of writing, like especially at Utopia. We've had some technical panels that I found very helpful, like even how to use Amazon better and as an author, things like that. Let's see, I'm trying to think if something specific stands out.
Think about the authors that you've met and that maybe the influence even that they've had, because outside of book conventions, I can honestly say that, Morgan, you've been the most helpful wealth of knowledge that I could ever ask for when it comes to publishing a book.
Aww.
But at a convention, you kind of have to think about those panels and who's sitting there and what they say. Mm-hmm. Because I promise I have somewhere I'm going with this. I'm kind of curious, though, about who it is or what it is that they said to you that was the most crucial.
Do you know what it is?
No, I don't know what it is.
Oh,
after each of us answers, there's a reason that I have this.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I think really the most helpful for me in panels when like there would be several designated authors and a moderator who would talk about the specific topic, and so they would share their experiences and whatever it was for, but then also the audience, then we could participate and ask questions or tell our experiences. And I've actually learned a lot hearing other people's experiences, their situations, problems they've had, or just, you know, good tips. What else?
Well, I think that's good. I think my point in asking this question was to kind of prove that while we do this so that each other and then also other writers around us know that they're not alone, like they're not the only ones going through all of this stuff, I feel like that all three of us had an answer that had to do with learning from someone else's experience or learning from what they've already gone through, that you don't have to make the same mistakes. You don't have to you know, go through something and think, I'm the only person in the whole world that has ever felt this way. But that's what conventions are essentially for, is whether it's a book convention where you're just listening to people talk about a specific genre, or whether it's a cultural topic, or whether it's Utopia where you're really learning from other authors about their process. The whole point of it is that it's kind of this really crazy community of people.
Right.
Absolutely.
So then tell me, after that, what this question, what is the coolest networking that you've ever done at a book convention? At Utopia, I guess, for you too. Unless there was some networking happening between Gabby, you, and Rick Riordan.
Right? I wish. Cool networking. I met, obviously, you ladies there. I also met The guy who does my website, his wife, who's awesome, and Tadpole. I met them there through Kelly, and so Laura, I have a great website because of them. So does my husband. I think, and my current job is working with somebody who I met at Utopia. So, absolutely, I think you can. You just go with an open mind and just meet people, and I feel like lots of things can come from it. Not only the gleaning of information, but just lifelong friends, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. All right, Morgan, what about you?
Yeah, I guess similar. Definitely lifelong friends. People that I'm not going to name specific names, but people that I now feel like I can, just either even phone call or text or, and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, would you read it real quick and, give me your feedback. And to know that they don't mind doing that and that they would. That's been huge, just to find people that you can bounce ideas off of, or, especially you two and others. I've also made some connections specifically for my books. When you kind of read through a book and then there'll be a chapter of somebody else's book in the back of your book, and I've made some connections where we've done some trades that way with meeting people there, and just people that they're in it. They know the journey, or there might be ahead of you in the journey, and they might be, just behind you, but we're all on the same journey. It's different for each of us, but that just to know that there are people that have gone before you, that okay, how can I watch them, learn from them? Mm-hmm. I think that's just been the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I'm kind of same thing with you guys. Like, there are people that I've met that have been extremely intimidating. Like, I'll just be honest. Like, mm-hmm. I meet them and I'm like, holy cow! Like, and then it makes me feel like I will never be a great writer or author. But then at the same time, same convention, even you meet someone that is encouraging and helpful, and it's never anyone that tells you can't be a great writer except yourself. Like, that's one thing I think that being at a book convention, you see all of these sorts of people, and Gabby even mentioned this. You can't judge an author by their book or a picture or their voice on Twitter. It's one of those things where when you meet them in person, it is amazing to see how different someone looks than what you expected them to. But at the same time, like, I have to say that I'm going to put the best picture of myself up on Twitter and Facebook. So when you see me in person, you might be like, what is that? But the thing is like, I feel like that with networking, you kind of have to go into it knowing that it's not always about hounding the person you look up to the most, but it's kind of hanging out and learning from each other. Like, and I think that that's something that at a book convention, I'm not going to say that I haven't, like, scoped out a room to see if there's somebody in there that I've heard of before, but I'm not going to follow that person around all day. Gabby.
Who did I follow?
Morgan.
Yeah, I'm not really on the same caliber as somebody famous.
I just think it's cute. I think it's so funny when y'all talk about that.
The truth is that first day when I went, I was kind of totally going out of my comfort zone. I knew nobody at the conference. Mm-hmm. And so Morgan, of course, she, the social butterfly that she was, knew all these people, and the first day went to lunch with her friends, and I walked down to the bagel shop, and I, called my husband, and I was like, I was working, and I was just like, I'm going to work through lunch, and I was like, this is good. I feel like, I'm getting alone, and just, I'm good. And it was kind of lonely, but at the same time, I was getting out of my comfort zone. But I had such an open mind to everything because I was just trying to glean, from everything that was happening around me. But it was cool. The next day, you know, I had people to have lunch with. I literally had lunch with, remember, Morgan, we had lunch with all of the big panel authors that day. Mm-hmm. And it was just really cool how everything kind of changed. And the next year, I was helping with Utopia, and I was with you guys, and we had, like, gotten this great friendship, and it all started with me just kind of getting out of my comfort zone and keeping my mind open to, like, learning what everybody was, you know, to just being open to it. Even though it felt really weird to be all by myself, I would never trade it, like, for anything. So I feel like it's, you know, those are the conventions, like, if you see a big convention and it's close to you, because I would give anything to go to BEA, but it's so far away and so expensive. If it's close to you, go. Even go by yourself. Go and hear as many authors as you can hear, even if you don't know who they are. I didn't know a lot of authors at Utopia because a lot of them were self-published. Never even occurred to me to self-publish. So me and Morgan had a long conversation about self-publishing. I had no idea. So when I got home, I read tons of self-published books, and some of my favorite books are self-published books that I learned about from Utopia. So I feel like you'll only learn, and you'll only be able to, you know, get really good nuggets of information and probably meet friends. And there's a girl who just happened to be at a bookstore that was at a couple of the conventions, and we talk on Facebook and talk about books all the time now, and she's a good friend. So I feel like it's important, and it's just like everything else in life. Get out of your comfort zone, and you can learn a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and Morgan, you're the only one that gets to answer this question, but it's not because we can't, or, well, we could answer it, but it wouldn't be relevant. So and it kind of, what Gabby said kind of leads to this. So as an author that has a published book, when you go to these conventions, because we talked about you went to the Southern Book Festival too, do you ever see an uprising or an increase in sales after that convention? How does that work for someone that is selling a book?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to be honest. I have not been the best at keeping track of stats and things. My husband has a little bit, but we've been doing that more so now. But for sure, because it's exposure for one, and, you know, you're meeting people, and especially if you have either a table as an exhibitor, or if you're on a panel and you get to have a table that way, it puts you visually in front of people that you maybe haven't heard of before, and or that they haven't heard of you, and so you're gaining new audience, I think, all the time as an author, and meeting people. And yeah, you sell some. I mean, depending on the author, I mean, is it completely profitable? Not monetarily, but definitely good just for exposure and just to get things out there in front of new audiences, and and it's also a chance to do the face-to-face and to put, you know, names to faces. And then so many times I've heard of readers, especially, you know, that are always so thrilled when they get to actually talk to you, you know, or you know, it's fun when they, you know, want you to sign a book or something. But then even I've had some people who have, after the conventions, either messaged me or tweeted me and just said, hey, I met you at the convention, blah, blah, and then I'll respond to them. They're like, oh my gosh, you responded. That's so cool. You know, so it's just connecting, I think, is the main importance of it.
Right. Well, okay, so with BEA next week, and you guys know I will try and bring every book home that I possibly can. And with Utopia coming up, are there any authors or panels or books that I might bring home? I don't know if you guys have looked at BEA and who's supposed to be there, but is there anything that you guys are really looking forward to at these conventions? Like that, something that it's so impactful that it's still right there, just at the top of your brain because you just can't wait.
My biggest thing is that I moved away, so I'm super excited to see my friends. You guys, and I haven't seen in a while. That's my biggest. What else?
I don't know any big books that are coming out that I'm dying to read right now. I mean, I think the best part is when you bring books home that I've never heard of and you're like, it's this new author. I mean, because that's the stuff that when I was blogging especially, I was like, I want to know what new is coming out. I want that book in my hands before anybody else so I can tell everyone this is fabulous, you know, or just to get to read a new, fresh author.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
fun. And then at Utopia, I always I look forward to new authors who come in to speak who can give you a fresh viewpoint, and maybe something that you haven't ever really learned about, you know, maybe something that they're doing. Because I think when Amanda Havard came that first year, she was talking about music in books and things like that, and transmedia and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to write a book, and you're writing songs, and you have videos, and my expectations of what I could do became exponential. So I feel like that's what I look forward to, is hearing somebody new who's doing something that I never even thought of. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. There are those books. I feel like I have to have a confession time because of the fact that I am not reviewing books anymore as much. Well, I say anymore as much. But I haven't been keeping up with stuff. So when I was looking at the BEA list of authors that are going to be there, I was sitting there thinking, holy moly, I'm going to have to follow around a bunch of my reviewer friends because I don't know who to look out for. I mean, there are going to be some astounding authors there, but some of them are ticketed, like Cassandra Clare is ticketed.
Oh yeah.
Stiefvater is ticketed, and it's not that I couldn't get in line at 4 a.m. to get a ticket, but I'm gonna be the one that wants to find the new stuff, kind of like Gabby, like you're talking about, because that's just really what I like.
Yeah.
I know I can go buy Maggie Stiefvater. I can go. I'm one of those that I'll go buy it. I want to support the authors too. But at the same time, I feel so horrible because there are some people that are going to be there that their name on a page, I have to tell myself, like, this is what it is for most authors. Like 99% of authors, like their name is there, but people don't know who they are. Does that sound bad?
What is Gabby's face doing?
Oh my gosh, Ellen Cumming is going to be there.
Neil Patrick Harris is going to be there too.
No way!
Boo. Ellen Cumming. Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
Okay. See,
Wait,
that'll be on my list now.
What book is that?
No, Ellen Cumming is like the amazing actor. He's in all kinds of movies, and he's British. I mean, he's like theater. I mean, amazing.
No, I'm going there for authors, Gabby.
Yeah, he's not a book.
Well, it's at the author breakfast. Sorry, I was just looking. Where are the authors?
I'm gonna have to get on there and look tonight.
You have to go to author signings. I actually have an app for that.
Whatever.
But I will say one thing that's so funny about Utopia is that for me, I love to meet all the authors, and it's super fun to kind of figure out like what they've done and where they've been and all that stuff. But the best is to see them interacting on those panels. Like, have you guys ever noticed, especially if they don't know each other, like they kind of had to feel each other out to see like who's going to answer when, and I love it even more when I'm not moderating because that's even more awkward. I like to kind of push the awkward envelope, but there are some panels sometimes where the authors just kind of run the show because no one's really moderating anything, and then they're talking about their cats. Have you ever noticed that? It's just one of those funny things to me that I feel like that I love a good panel when things kind of go askew.
Yeah.
And so Utopia, I always look forward to that one panel that I'm going to go to where it's really not what the title is of the panel that they're going to be talking about. It's something completely different. It ends up being really funny.
I always love when they put somebody on the panel who's basically opposed to what they're talking about on the panel. It's always so interesting. And you're like, how did that happen?
I completely
where
agree.
is it? Where is it? I can't find all of the authors.
It's autographing and author events. Actually, why don't I just tell you my agenda so far? Tuesday is blank. Wednesday is blank, but that's because I'm not there yet. So some people that I've got on my list, Josephine Angelini, she did an Angel series. I think it was a series, and she has a new series coming out, so I'm kind of excited about that, and it's called Trial by Fire. But I think that'll be a really long line. So I have to space these out because I could be in line for a really long time for some of these. Jennifer Armentrout's Stone Cold Touch should be there, so I'm kind of excited about that. Julie Kagawa, who I'm a big fan of. Yeah. And it's her Talon, which is her dragon.
That dragon one. I want to read that.
I haven't read those yet. I want to read those.
Yeah, Marie Lu's going to be there.
Ones. Oh, really? I like her too.
Yeah, she has a new series called The Young Elites, and I'm excited about that. And I love her. Sarah J. Maas or Mass. I never know how to say that.
Yeah, I want some of her stuff.
Listen, that is like going to be the biggest line. Everybody's talking about it on Twitter, and it's her next book in the series, and OMG, I don't care how long I have to wait or how many people I have to elbow.
What's the series?
It's the Midnight. Well, the first one is Throne of Glass, and then the second one is
Sword.
Midnight.
Yeah.
Something.
And then with the sword.
Yeah. And then I hold on. Let's see. Anna Carey. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's got a new book called Blackbird that comes out this year. And then let's see. I put Cassandra Clare down, but I don't know if I'll get a ticket for that. Althea Contis has a new book called. Well, it's not a new book. It's one that's already been written. Or that's already been published. Hero that she'll be signing. Huh. Then I have Maggie Stiefvater down on here. Barry Lyga.
Is Maggie doing another Raven Boys one?
Well, she's got Sinners. Sinners is coming out.
It's Sinner.
Sinner.
Oh.
And that's part of the Wolf, right?
It's what?
That's one of the Wolf, part of the Wolf series, right?
I don't know.
What?
I think it is. I think it's somebody else's point of view.
Yeah.
Better give me an ending on this one if I read it. That's all.
Okay. Okay, listen, I have gotten to where with some of these books, because I get so involved in them, I only start reading them after the second book has come out, and if it's highly recommended and there was no crying involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me tell you, I do have a panel down, which I don't even know if I'm really going to make it to this because there are so many signings I want to go to, but the panel is called My First Novel, Things I Wish Someone Had Told Me About Writing, Publishing, and Promoting a Book.
You better go and video it for me.
I need to. There are a couple of different authors. None of them I've heard of, but we'll see. It's at 11:15 on Saturday. You know, we'll have to wait and see because I have a lot of people I want to go get in line for. Holly Black is going to be there. Listen, there are some really cool things happening. But anyway, I get caught up in the author signings, and then I also have fun because you sit in line with all of these people that are librarians and book reviewers and bloggers, and it's so fun because then you just talk about all your favorite books. But I'm going to feel like a loser because I have not been reading like I normally read before these things. And luckily I have some cards, and I'm going to be like, I just read this really awesome book called Descent. Oh, and I also wrote it. I don't know if that's going to go over very well, though. Are y'all still there?
I am. I'm reading. Melissa Marr's going to be there, Morgan.
She's on my list. She's on my list.
Yeah, I like her. What book is she there for?
I like that face. That's a good face, Gabby.
Shannon Hale.
I have her on my list.
Melissa De La Cruz. That's that flower one, right?
No, she does the pirates now, the Frozen Pirates. And she does, the last book was called Frozen, and she co-wrote it with her husband, but she also does this vampire.
Yeah, she did the Blue Bloods.
The Blue Bloods and the Witches.
Yeah, Witches, that's an adult one.
Yeah.
Well, what's the one with the flower crown? Oh, never mind.
Oh, that's new, I think.
Yeah, that's the new one, I thought.
Yeah, you're right. Something, I don't know what it's called.
I saw pictures of it, but I haven't.
I'll make sure to take lots of pictures. and not just of my food, because that's what my mom told me not to do. She said, don't take a lot of pictures of your food.
Please take a lot of pictures of your food. You're going to be in New York, and I know you're going to get good food. I'm going to be so sad.
Every year we go to this amazing Italian restaurant that Laura takes us to, and it's the most fabulous place ever on the planet, and I get the same appetizer every single time. But yeah, that I look forward to that meal. But we're gonna do okay. So let me just say this. Okay, we really need to wrap this up. It's getting really long.
I'm like, we're still live, are we?
Yeah, we're still live. Let me just tell you, other than just the convention and the panels and the books and the authors, there are always these side events that happen, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, I promise. And so with BEA, there is a blogger picnic in the park, Central Park, on, I think it's Friday night, that I'm going to go to. And I might be, like, going with a friend of a friend, and it's going to be kind of crazy because I'm not going to name drop, but I think it's kind of cool. And I really don't even know this person, so I'm really not name dropping, but I'm going to be there, and they're going to be there. And then I'm sure hundreds of people are going to be there. But then there are a couple of other things, like Turn a Nog. They have like a I guess cocktail party or something. Anyway,
Fun.
I'm not gonna not like a dress up cocktail party, but like drinks after BEA is over, kind of thing. And then Utopia. This last week, did you guys get the post update?
Oh yeah, about the party.
Yeah, well, they had to cancel something, and then they had to make it up to everybody.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of curious, like, if there's an event outside of the confines of the convention, what type of event do you think would be most fun to go to?
I always like dancing and food and alcohol, so anything that has that, I'm there.
Yeah.
And authors and books, yeah.
I saw on actually there's quite a few conventions that do like masquerade balls. I don't know. It sounds like it could be kind of fun. I don't know. I just want to be able to hang out and talk and socialize and make connections and so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think wasn't the extra party thing. Oh, it was a swim thing. Sorry, I'm not getting a swimsuit yet. So
No. Books and swimsuits don't go together.
I mean, some people like it, and that's awesome. But yeah, I think I'll probably use that as some free time to find other people.
Read books.
Yeah, or write books.
Write
them.
What? Okay. Well, I think that thoroughly discusses and I hope we covered everything when it comes to book conventions. If we missed anything, I'm sure someone will tell us.
Well, and there's so many out there I've been finding because I was trying to look ahead and think, okay, what would I like to go to, or what, should I plan ahead for next year? But there's just so many. There's lots of little ones popping up and, so yeah, like Abby said, find local ones that are easy to get to, just to kind of get your feet wet and try them. And
Absolutely.
There's a couple. I'd like to go to a fall one too, so I'm not sure what that will be yet. But
there aren't any by you, so we can come visit you and stay.
What?
Are there none by you, so we can come stay with you at your house?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's some in Seattle and Portland.
I'm there.
I love Portland. I will go to Portland any day. Love that.
Maybe even Vancouver. That'd be kind of fun.
Let's road trip, Kelly. That would be so fun.
Okay, as long as you don't mind if I sleep in the car. Okay, well, we should just go ahead and sign off.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching Love Write Create. Hashtag Love Write Create. Follow us on Twitter and check us out and check our blogs out and all that good stuff. I always put it on there. And I think that's it. Bye.
We're just crazy.